Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Secret History Living Inside Your Aquarium. It's Alexander Williamson here today, and I hope you guys are doing well. Let's see if there are any messages in the message thing so far. Nope, nothing in chat yet. Please pardon my twitching eye. It's been a stressful day. My dad just had I'm just gonna spill out the private stuff now because we're friends, right? You guys can keep a secret. So my dad had his pancreas and his kidney had tumors in them, and it turns out that he has a type of uh, kidney cancer. Found out. Slow moving. They're going to keep an eye on it for every 6 months, and then at a certain point they'll have to remove the kidney. But as you can see, been a stressful day. So I'm back, and I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit, answer questions. I haven't been good at that during live streams lately. I've been doing live streams with a purpose where I'm talking about something, and it's more of a lecture talking at you guys. But today, I'm just going to be talking about some helpful tools, some updates on some stuff going on with the channel, some giveaways, some rewards, some prizes, all that kind of stuff. And basically, we can look at whatever folks want to look at too. Thank you very much, Animal Lover. Uh, so, first of all, I wanted to talk to you guys. I have teamed up, as you know, in the past with Aquatic Arts. I want to team up with them in the long run. I think that this is kind of what I have in my mind is that Flip Aquatics is my higher end Neocaridina shrimp importer. So if it's something you need from overseas, I'm going to default to them. And there's a code in the description below that you guys can all use to save 10% anytime. Now, Han Aquatics, he is for sure my rare plant guy. If you need a rare plant or somewhat hard to find plant, like maybe it's not rare in every region, but maybe in North Dakota, the pet store, the Petcos don't carry it, for instance. He is the guy to go to. He's really generous, and he grows it himself at his house, or at his fish room, and he's been on the scene for over a decade. Just a part of it before he had an online website. He was in the Planet forums, and he's been a good guy, consistent, and all that jazz. He also has shrimp too. But there's a code for 15% off all purchases on his website, also in my info. And then lastly, the people that I'm teaming up with, Aquatic Arts, I think they have hands down the best selection online of nanofish and small cichlids, lots of shrimp. Right now they have a crazy amount of shrimp. Like, I don't have the money right now, but there's ninja shrimp. There are these new algae shrimp that haven't been into the States before. There's still green but balti color changing shrimp. There were Sulawesi that just sold out. Plus all the Taiwan bees, all the different color neocaradinas you could ever dream of come through there, but they sell out quick. And so there is a code in my description where you get 15% off the top for one your first purchase, basically. So like for everything that you buy, your first purchase, all living animals that you buy. The second purchase, you can use the secret shrimp, all in caps, 10 instead of 15. So secret shrimp 15 and secret shrimp 10, all in caps, no spaces, in the code thing, and you'll get 10% off every future purchase. Now, if they're running a deal like they are right now on a bunch of their overstock shrimp, they're running some killer deals on like shrimp that should be going for $7 or $8. They're selling for like $4. Their blue shrimp right now which look really good. I have some of their blue shrimp still, even though Lucas Brett's is the line that I pay $8 a shrimp, and I'm on a wait list for a year to get, but it's worth it to me. You have to be on his Patreon also. So, not that they are the top tier of shrimp, but they do have really, really good ones. Allie, I'm so glad that you made it and that you did not die setting up your CO2. Um, Allie was talking with me earlier, and her CO2 setup hissed and popped at her. You know, CO2 can be scary stuff. Be careful when you're doing it, putting it together. Watch some how-tos if you can. But I feel like everybody has a problem with CO2 at some point, whether it's they turn it up too quick or they put the valve too deep in a tank that's deep, and so the pressure going up the line that's needed is really intense, and then you bring the diffuser up from let's you guys don't need to look at me. So what happens then is you'll see people and they'll crank up the CO2, put in the regulator, and they'll put it all the way down to the bottom of a tank. Well, that needs way more pressure than when it's up here. So if it comes loose or whatever, then a lot of times by the time it gets here, the regulator or the diffuser disc blows off, and it makes a loud pop and then hisses and sprays all over. So that's just something to be aware of. Also, I thought I'd show you while she's in the picture, I've got a female koi betta that is just chilling in this tank with everybody. She's been a sweetheart and gotten along. I also have a dragon scale betta that I was sent by, if you guys recall, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I had a fellow on April Fool's Day who said, I'm sending you $500 towards whatever you want to do on the channel. Buy some new fish, do cool stuff. And everyone was like, it's April Fool's Day, no way, it's just no way. And then he was like, yeah, I'm going to send it on privately, I'll get your email, I'll do it privately. And so I was really like, yeah, that's not going to happen if it's not coming through Patreon or a super chat. But he did it, and his name is Sam. I'm just going to use that name. And he has the screen name XX Redacted. And he is a super cool guy, lives in North Dakota. And he sent me these two siblings, male and a female here. And we've got the male there and the female there. And then there's another one that's super dark, that's like a dark green. And I actually screwed up, and I couldn't see the bubbles at night, but there's a bubble nest that was attempted back there, and right now I think it's getting attempted over here today, and there were eggs in it. So they've only been in this tank a week, and it's a community tank, and yet back in the tangle of weeds, which is there on purpose, so that they have a tangle of weeds to lay eggs in and things, they laid eggs. And those eggs are right now in this little container, and they're being aerated. There's a drop of methylene blue, but you can see one of the eggs there, one of the eggs there. Some are at the bottom, some are in the slime. But I rescued about 30 or 20 maybe. So we'll see. I don't know if they even got fertilized or what, but I saw that while I was cleaning out algae, and I looked at my hand and I was like, oh my goodness, are those eggs already? I guess so. And so hopefully I'll have some of these really beautiful koi bettas breeding in this tank even. Because the little fish can't get through. It's one of the only upsides of slime algae, green hair algae, like you see back up in here. The fish don't like swimming through it, and the koi bettas, they love it. They have no problem with it. They like shallow water that's full of plants and real muddy. They can breathe air, so they hang out in that back corner, and I'm hoping that that's where they'll be able to have their little family and at least do some nesting and stuff. Whereas these Danios, they also use the edge of that territory back there, up in there, and then up right here. And they lay eggs, and then the Corridoras lay eggs here, and the Plecos have a cave in the corner. So I've tried to make it so that at least 3 or 4 species of different critters can breed in here. And the rainbow or pandagara, whatever you want to call it, there's 5 of them, and they've been exhibiting mating behavior lately too. So kind of fun. I love that this tank is working out so well. It's definitely at double the inch per gallon rule that it should be, but I just watched the behavior of the fish, and that with the amount of plants in here and the amount of filtration and the amount of water changes, I get away with it no problem nitrate wise. Here we go. So these are the 2 that I believe had the babies together. He is just super beautiful. None of them are getting their tails ripped up, so that's super nice. So today's chat, I was gonna say, let's talk about some tools and tips and tricks. Inexpensive. Some of them are a little more expensive than others, but things that for me either save time or help me breed fish, make me money in the long run, that sort of thing. We're going to talk about that sort of stuff, but we had a question already, and I want to answer that question right now because it's a great time. So, Giveaway Master, can you make a how-to shrimp tank inexpensive? Yes. So, I can release a whole separate video on this and CO2 if you'd like, and I think I will in the future. This right here is my most successful shrimp tank I've ever owned. I set it up not long ago because the fish that were in the tank before this all died of a terrible flesh-eating bacteria, Vibrio. So I then took it upon myself to make this kind of a quarantine tank, keep some guppies in it and keep some fish in it, but mostly keep it clear. I did have to bleach it, and I literally had to kill all the fish that were still alive who were starting to show signs of it. Unfortunately, it's that bad of a deal that they had. My friend at the university locally tested it for me and came back with the bad news that, hey buddy, you gotta nuke that tank. I know you feel bad killing fish that are honestly probably healthy, but they're now potential carriers, and you're gonna wipe out your next tank. And when they're carriers, you do not actually get to know, I mean, you don't actually see it. It could just be 6 months down the road that when another fish has a weak immune system, they get it. So here's a shrimp here that I'm moving. These are my yellow Neocaridina / Palmata strain. These are from Lucas Brett's at LRB Aquatics. And I got some gold line shrimp from him, and then I also got some of the just normal gold shrimp from him, the yellow shrimp from him. And the normal yellow ones are Palmata. They're not like the Sakura. So they're not the strongest line, but they throw out yellow Rileys. They throw out interesting shrimp, but his gold line of it's gold, a yellow shrimp with a gold back line, and the shrimp, they look like this, and they are awesome. So they're super yellow, like neon yellow, and since they have Palmata genes in them, I think they reproduce even faster than my normal Neocaridinas. I don't know what it is about that mix. These guys have a gene. The palmatas are related to, they're what you see snowball shrimp or blue velvet shrimp, the light blue velvet. And so the only real fish to worry about in here eating babies are, I have a pseudomcgill male who has been with his female partner for about a year now. Where'd he go? There he is. And the female, who's very, very ill, she's been treated about 4 different rounds with antibiotics, antifungals, everything. And she's holding on for months, but she's definitely, like, her kidneys aren't working now, I don't think. And I should probably put her out. It's just, she's the only female I had left. And she laid a few last eggs, and there's some fry in here that will take another probably 3 to 5 months to grow out before I'll move them. But I feel bad for this poor girl. I've really done everything I can, and if you're curious what everything I can means, I can talk about that later. But I like the trio that Corey from Aquarium Co-op uses: the erythromycin, the general cure, and the ICX. But on top of that, I have tried salt baths with her. I've tried, just a lot of catappa leaves and extra oxygen. I've tried making food for her that has the actual antibiotics and antifungals, parasites, and that's just, none of it's worked. Where it's worked for everyone else, and the other 9 pseudomcgill males, of course I have 9 males and no other females, are doing just fine in the other tank. They're great. But this tank is, hey, what's up, Natural Aquariums? This tank is very simple. It is planted somewhat well, but the real thing that this tank had before I threw these scraps in. So this is hornweed here. This hornwort, hornweed, this stuff will grow an inch a day easily under even medium light. And so I let that grow. I let my Java moss and my willow moss grow. My bulbitis, I'll just throw in there and let it grow. And basically just any trimmings that I don't know what to do with yet, but I might put in another tank, I just let them float. And so that allows the shrimp to have a lot of cover, really clean water, and I don't even have substrate in here. Look at this. This is mulm, and I haven't cleaned the mulm because Lucas Bretz and we were chatting, and we both have noticed that you don't need to. The natural bacteria will take care of it. Now, there's a lot of fish that lay eggs where there's bacteria that would rot their eggs in it here, but for shrimp, it doesn't matter. They like that dirty wastewater to dig through, as long as it's the right kind of dirty. It's not, So there's a male that's beautiful, a female that's beautiful, and I think I paid with shipping. It ended up being like $11 a piece for these, but now I have, I don't know, 50, 60 in here in less than 6 months time. Of these guys being in my collection. I think I got 12 of them initially. But she's pregnant. She's pregnant. There's another female back in here that's pregnant. Here's another one that's pregnant. So they're all doing really well. I have videos on making tanks like that. But the real key is surface area. Surface area, surface area, surface area. So you just want, catappa leaves, they're great. They actually help their natural immune system. And then the females, they need places to hide or they get stressed. So you give them there's some rocks in here, and then just a tangle, a mess. It doesn't look great on the eye, but if you're trying to breed a bunch of shrimp, get like a 20-gallon or even a 40-gallon breeder, and you can breed starting with a dozen shrimp, or even if you had the money for 20, it would go insanely quick. But each shrimp is going to have 20 to 30 babies probably in this species when they're full grown. Some of the younger ones have 5 to 10 at a time. But then those babies, which hopefully we'll see in a sec here, I have babies of all different ages in here, and the babies are more nocturnal. But here's a baby here, and then I have some really young babies that are born 2 nights or 3 nights ago that just came out too. And I'm just taking a look without scanning the camera too much. Just, oh, here we go. So if we look over here, this one's about a month old here. And so it's got its color, its shape, it's shed its initial little exoskeleton. And then there's some that are clear that are like super new, like a few days old, hatched a few days ago. But super cheap. So, oh, there's the other pregnant female. There's another one too. So I got 6 pregnant females in this tank. And what I do is I barely do water changes to this tank. I did have guppies in here for a while, and then there were just too many guppies and they were eating too many of the baby shrimp. Even though the shrimp were still increasing in numbers, I just decided, you know what, I want this tank to go gangbusters. So I think tannins are important on a cheap shrimp tank. And these filters here, if you haven't seen these, they come like this. Let's see another, if there's a clearer version. Here we go. Same one here, just turned upside down the other way. And they push out water here, and then they have an air line that runs through them. So they sell those for 4 or 5 for $20 on Amazon. Free shipping if you're a Prime member. And then I just use one of these, and it will run 2 sponges. So each line, I can run 8 sponges, and that runs the whole tank. Now, with certain tanks like this one and this one, I also have a hang on the back because I'm raising, in here, you know, we've got long fin bristlenose adults, plecos. We've got a school of 10 or 12 now, trilineatus quarry cats, and then, I don't know, 100 guppies. It's absurd. It's overpacked. I need to get them out, but I gotta let those babies grow up a little bit. But everybody's happy. I mean, the nitrates are fine, and everybody has room to move. There's a day shift, a night shift, a bottom shift, and an upper shift. And if you're smart with your tanks and your choices, you can do, yeah, these are all 20 longs, and you can do a lot in a 20 long. I mean, if you had an expensive type of guppy or endler, here I have endlers that this is my own line that I've kind of created. These guys, the females have this nice little notch on their lower tail that shows that they're the same line, but they've got yellow that fades to a pink and purple iridescence, and then they've got a blue purplish periwinkle body, and then sometimes it looks pink, sometimes it looks yellow, and then they've got leopard print dorsal fins. So yeah, I have on this rack, I have 320 gallons, and that allowed me to use one of these cheaper racks. If you figure out the math on it, I got this one at Home Depot for $42, I think. And it's supposed to hold 420 pounds a shelf, according to its rating. But it's only holding 260, give or take, when these are totally full with gear. And then you assume, though, that when you set a bucket of, 5 gallons of water against this, you're adding actually probably 100 pounds of weight if you're leaning on it too. So I like to give myself 100 to 200 pounds extra of strength on my racks. People will complain that the wires have bent, but I found that as long as you put either you cut a board to shape and then put cardboard over the board and then a blanket in between, I've gotten no warping or bending and done it really effectively price-wise. So, I mean, if you were to add all this up, you don't even need the light. I actually used that light for the first 4 months that I had those shrimp up there. And they're up there because that's out of the way, and I just let them reproduce, and I feed them every night a little bit. And there's so many now that I can feed them daily, which is nice. And then that's also, I don't care if I overfeed them as long as the food or the as long as the water quality doesn't go crazy or something, the nitrates don't go super high, because I actually want these extra snails because I feed my puffers with them. So, yeah, and back to the question about what did I do when I had that flesh-eating bacteria in my tank? It's actually the same type of bacteria that causes shellfish poisoning in humans. So it doesn't eat your flesh as a human, but it can definitely do damage. And it can definitely irritate skin lesions and abrasions that already exist. And so I actually had to I took a whole bunch of bleach, like, I don't know, 16 ounces of bleach, and just dumped it straight into the tank with a power head going, and it killed all the fish within 2 minutes. I put clove oil in first, which kind of anesthetizes them, and then the bleach just scars their little gills so they can't get the oxygen out, and so they basically get sleepy, numb by the clove oil, which I dumped a whole bottle of. It's not the cheapest. And then the bleach kills them within 2 or 3 minutes. But if you don't have that, they kind of would twitch and stuff, I've read. So I don't know. I felt horrible. I felt like a failure as a fish keeper, and so, it's those things where you really learn a hard lesson, but it sticks with you, and you want to do everything you can to avoid it in the future. Um, this is a new tank giveaway, Master. So my friend did not test it again because I literally have the tank sitting in my carport because I didn't even want to chance it. I didn't want to do that again. I lost hundreds of dollars in plecos that were my favorite breeding plecos that had been up there, and it was just a super big bummer. Um, so let's see here. What do I recommend for beginner shrimp? Definitely Neocaridina shrimp or Malawa shrimp. Both are in this tank. Um, cherry red shrimp. These are going to be your toughest shrimp. They can take it, they can play ball. They have been in the hobby by far the longest. Amanos are also pretty easy to take care of. However, they don't reproduce in your tank. They need salt water, the ocean, to complete their life cycle. So they'll lay eggs, but the eggs will never develop into shrimp. They may even hatch as larvae, but then they'll just all die, which is a bummer. Um, yeah, thank you for saying a word about my dad's situation. It's just been rough because I've been having all these surgeries myself, and then my mom had two brain aneurysms about 10 and then 13 years ago and 9 years ago. So she's had a rough go of it, retired early, and my dad already took care of her. I lived in another part of the state for quite a while and then moved back to take care of her. And basically, luckily though, when I moved back, I met my wife in Seattle. So, uh, things happen. Life's hard, such is life. But yeah, what you're looking at, these are probably your easiest shrimp to take care of as a starting shrimp. I've had these shrimp frozen in a pond outside over the winter and come back. I've had them in 90-degree water and survive. That being said, that's not the norm. But I'm just saying, I've also cleared out a tank completely, drained all the water and like put it on its side, dripping the water out. And a week or two later, when I took the substrate and put it into another tank, there were still baby shrimp that had hid somewhere in a pocket of water or dampness between rocks. So the cherry line is going to be the most hardy line because they've been around the hobby the longest and they have a lot of diversity in their DNA already. Whereas like the Taiwan bees and, galaxies, pintos, shadow pandas, blue bolts, all those kind that you see out there, those are going to be more difficult. So I would say stick with Neocaridina or Amano as your first shrimp. Uh, Harder to find, but they're around, are the Malawa or Maliwa or Malawa. I don't know. I've heard it's pronounced so many different ways. Shrimp. I have a lot of those. They're clear, so they're not as much fun to a lot of people. A lot of people like the bright color that pops of the other shrimp. Um, but yeah, they're a great algae eater. A lot of times, the clear shrimp that look a little bit less exciting actually can do a lot more work. But yeah, so that's what I would recommend. Ghost shrimp, yeah, ghost shrimp are a pretty easy shrimp too. What you want to do most of all, in my opinion, is really have the best way to set up a shrimp tank. Like when I'm breeding shrimp for profit, as I've done over time, and I'm going to be doing here because I need to pay off 20 some odd grand in medical bills for for dental alone, actually, is what that is. But um, you know, this is set up. I want them to breed and to be successful. And a lot of times people will they'll they'll think that their colony is ready to start selling. So they'll have 20 shrimp, and they'll start with 20 shrimp, for instance. They'll make it to 40 or 50, and they'll start selling them like crazy. Well, when you do that, your exponential increase of shrimp doesn't work so well. This female just had the babies the other day. Um, so you really want to wait until you have like 100 shrimp if it's a 20 long, or 200 or 300 if it's a 40-gallon breeder. But the bigger the container, the faster the shrimp grow, in my experience. But I like to keep all of my fry that are developing from other fish tanks. I throw them in with my shrimp, and yeah, I'm sure some of them eat the shrimp, but I try to keep them fed. And once the shrimp reach this size, I don't have any problem with them getting eaten or anything by the little minnows and stuff like that are in here. White cloud minnows or pseudomagills. See that poor gal? I feel so bad for this fish. I've tried everything for her. Just sad. Yeah, 220-gallon tank. You could definitely have shrimp in and have probably 10,000 shrimp in it. I don't know. If you want, go look at Flip Aquatics channel. He did, is it 1,000 shrimp in a 400-gallon tank or something like that? It was something nutty like that. But he did that, and just bonkers. The amount of money was bonkers too. But the guy imports, so Rob, he's a real nice guy. But someone mentioned too that but when buying shrimp, that it's expensive. There is a reason for that most of the time, Or Aquatic Arts, for instance, they have a good deal on their shrimp, but the shipping is expensive. That's what people complain about. Well, if you're going to buy 10 of something, you're going to knock your price right up into the area where it doesn't matter that much. In my opinion, you're going to get 15% off with the code that I have. Or you can use the code they have, but mention me, and they'll usually either throw in extra fish or something like that. But the real thing is, my channel now, I have a deal that instead of making total profit off of you guys, so a lot of times YouTubers will say, go to this person, and then they get a big cut in money. Well, part of that money instead, I have it in a pot. So whenever anybody from my channel, our channel, The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium, uses that Secret Shrimp 10 or Secret Shrimp 15 code, or emails them while using whatever the best code that's around and says, hey, I got here from the channel, they put that into an account and they take 4% of that and they put it into a side account. So I can tell you today that last night I believe it was, yeah, last night I gave Ginger Graves $35 gift certificate from them. So they'll just randomly be giving out prizes, and we will, as a channel, get that reward. Now the other part of that reward, and the in full transparency, I get 4% of that. So a total of 8% of the profits they make are going back into things, and I get 4% of the profits in the form of any sort of fish or plant that I will discuss on the show, which is pretty easy for me because there's a lot I like, and I like them uh, as a vendor. Like I shipped through them and bought their shrimp and fish and plants before I had a YouTube channel or anything. Like they were who I liked. Now their price went up reasonably, or I mean recently, for shipping, like the last 6 months. But I hear a little bird told me that there might be a change coming to that. So I honestly say wait until you have, at least 70, 60 or $70 worth of stuff to buy, and then they ship it overnight, and that way I've never lost a fish with the overnight shipping. All the fish are so much less stressed. Shrimp are less stressed. My crypts have never melted from them, and I attribute it to the like 12 hours it takes to get stuff to me from them. Uh, by the way, here's a little scarlet baddis. This guy was supposed to be a gal and was sneaky and was not a gal, and developed stripes when I moved him up here alone. So yeah, what else was I going to tell you guys? Yeah, so shrimp, a lot of times you can start with a lower grade of shrimp too that's cheaper. Like I would sell these yellows for $2 or $3 a piece, depending on how many somebody bought. And you could spend 2 or 3 years selectively breeding them and get just the very best and get back up to that quality that I showed you up top. And it's just a matter of time and energy and dedication and watching your shrimp every day and making sure they don't mate with an inferior one color wise and all that jazz. Now these are my other endlers. If you haven't seen them, a lot of people are new to the channel, I know. These were Lucas Brett's fish also. These are tiger rainbow endlers. And I selected them for having a spade-shaped tail and having blue, and it doesn't show up in the live stream super well, but blue highlights on their head and on their tail and on all their fins. I think you can see it a little bit, but you can check it out on my Instagram or Facebook. And these guys, there's only 2 males in here, and they mate with all these females and babies. And then as soon as I see a male start developing markings, I pull them out, put them in a 40-gallon, keep an eye on them, and then whichever ones I deem fit or the best of the best out of all the males, I'll let them go back into this tank. So that's kind of how that works. We've got, I don't know, 10 pregnant females here. So I could also sell reasonably soon. I could sell some of these pregnant females that are going to have 30. Some of them even have 40. So right there is a fish that has colored up in the last few days. And I need to catch him out of there and not let him mix. And there's, because of the rainbow endler gene having different colors, it has led to these guys. Lucas's breed a random color, like they're always going to be yellow and have stripes or spots, but they breed a random color. Like they could have purple accents, they could have red accents, they could have blue accents. Mine are always going to be blue, and it took a lot of selecting, and I'm still selecting to make sure that's true, because still I get one out of every, I don't know, 50 or 100 fish that will have, like that one did, like a wild or orange pattern or something on it. And so I have to constantly be selecting them out of here. And even though guppies aren't a ton of work to keep, I got to bag them up and then ship them out and all that jazz. And so that man hour, that time going into that's what causes these strict lines that people work on to be more expensive. Now, also we have, well, it's gone now, but I was gonna say we had a baby. Uh, we had a baby Corridora back there that was real cute. I've had them breeding in here lately too. The new type of breeding, and I would definitely consider it one of my tools, is so in my Corridora tanks now, I take the old school spawning mops with wool yarn, and I'll take them out, but then for a week or two, I'll leave them in the tank near the flow of water. And the Corridoras will lay their eggs in that. If you do a big, like 60% water change, they'll lay their eggs in that mop. For some reason, I don't know why, more so than they will just on the glass or all over. But they do still lay it on the glass and wherever, because they're Corridoras. That's what they do. What kind of substrate should you use for shrimp? Well, I would say that depends on your tap water. So if you have tap water that is neutral, does not matter for Neocaridina shrimp, don't worry about it. If they're somewhere between 6.5 and 8, they'll probably be fine, and you can use gravel or sand or whatever. But if your tap water or fish tank water is having a pH of, say, 8, like right out of the gate, or 8.5, then you're going to want to bring that down. And to bring that down, you can buy special soils from Brightwell or Fluval or ADA, Akadama, also Japanese brand. ADA is also a Japanese brand. But they will change the pH and the alkalinity or acidity in your tank significantly, which is useful. Now you can also see here I've got some males that are coloring up with yellow, as they should be, as they all do. And so I let them hang out a little longer, but I don't even let the ones that have all the right stuff, I don't let them hang out with the females, because I implore you to go watch some of my older, not old, but maybe 4 months ago, I did some videos on guppy genetics and how a young guppy of 2 months old female can make children, make guppy fry the rest of her entire life based on that exposure to male guppies. So it's pretty nuts how that works. I don't know, it blows my mind. They store it internally, and that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. So let's see here. A YouTuber said to use planting soil. No, don't do that. You can use planting soil. No matter what you do, I highly suggest, if you have a shrimp tank, that you set it up for fish first for, like, honestly, like a year is ideal. And you let it get kind of grimy. And once it's nice and grimy, then, and it's got algae on the sides, it's got, you can see the algae here, you can see the layers of bacteria. That's what the shrimp love. This is my blue shrimp tank. These are the world-class, award-winning blue shrimp from Lucas Brett's here. This is the B strain. I have an A strain also. These guys go for more money, but they are just incredible blue. I mean, nothing comes close to how consistently their babies are the blue that they are. They all have a slight translucent, a little bit darker on the shoulder, and then, they're just great. They are a little small, this strain, but there are Neocaridina davidi and Zangagensis from the wild. Where do I recommend ordering driftwood from? I would recommend, if you can, ordering it wholesale or going to find it. I have a video on driftwood and stone on what is safe in your aquarium, and I highly recommend watching that, because you can save a ton of money buying or by going out and finding your own rocks and wood. I live on the coast and around a bunch of lakes, and so uh, I'm very lucky in that I have both freshwater driftwood and saltwater driftwood. With either one, it's really good to boil it. So that's the trick, is getting a container that's big enough that you can boil the darn thing in it, like a big crab pot or something. But luckily, I live in Washington State, Seattle, so everybody has crab pots and is able to boil. And somebody knows somebody. Now you'll notice in this shrimp tank, I also have scarlet batis, and I have a male and 3 females in here. They will hunt the shrimp also, the babies, but I've just been really stoked to have them in here, to have them reproducing. Right now we're having an issue with Papa eating his babies, but once he gets used to reproducing, and once they do it a few times, they stop eating their babies. Sometimes cichlids do the same thing. They don't take care of their babies, these fish, that much, but they do, in theory, at least don't eat their babies right away. But this guy hasn't learned that yet. He's still young. Does anyone know if it's normal for Corydoras to swim back and forth against the glass? Totally. That means they're excited. That is actually a sign that they're perhaps sexually aroused, ready to mate. And so when they're doing that, just check the glass frequently, every few hours, for little white eggs. It's a good sign. It means that there's hormones in the water that they're enjoying and excited about. Let's see here. Use it. Sorry guys, just reading. If I were you, if you're trying to raise shrimp for money in the hobby, I would use a 20 long. That's my favorite size. Has the biggest surface area for the gallons in that small tank range. And you can use those sponge filters, or a sponge filter like this, to power the whole thing. So low electricity. It's cheap, cheap, cheap. Wait for the $20 per gallon sale. Spend 20 bucks on the tank, $4 on the sponge filter, however much on the air pump if you don't already have one. Like, you could spend 15 bucks or you could spend 1,000. It just depends on what kind of air pump you're looking for. But you're going to be looking at probably $15 to $40 there. And then other than that, it's just whatever plants and shrimp you want, and some shrimp food. Now, what I feed my shrimp most days is I feed them shrimp and crab food by Hikari. Let's see, where is it? Crab Cuisine is the name of it. And it has some of the nutrients that they need. They need a certain level of calcium carbonate and stuff like that, so that their shells can form properly. And it has that because my water here in Seattle has nothing in it. And so before you get a shrimp that's something other than a Neocaridina or an Amano shrimp, you're going to want to look and make sure that their water parameter suggestions, so like TDS, pH, GH, KH, all that stuff, you're going to want to kind of double check and make sure that your area can house those. So yeah, what else do we have going on here? I have a Sur pump. I don't have a sponge. Don't they take CO2? They can take CO2. I have shrimp in this tank, and they are on CO2. All my shrimp upstairs are on CO2. You just need to be careful. The only thing they don't like is like metals, so like copper, things that like when you're using certain chemicals to cure diseases in fish, sometimes they'll kill snails or invertebrates. So you just have to be kind of careful about that. Um, but yeah, I actually have two types of shrimp in this tank, but they're probably hiding because of all the fish and it's the peak of the day on their light cycle. So, dude, video blows. T-Bar, are you saying the quality of the video sucks or you just don't like me? Because if you just don't like me, I guess I'll have to live with that. But if the quality sucks, I can go upstairs and we can get things going better. Copper does do a good job, but yeah, water in Federal Way is the same. It all comes out of the Cascade Mountains, basically, or the reservoirs surrounding it. You know what? Frickin' Pleco eating my brand new Crip Flamingo. Get out of there. Look at that. It just shredded my pink Flamingo Crip. San Jose, probably, it could have hard water or it could have soft water. I don't know. If you're getting it out of the mountains, it might be soft. But by the time it gets to like LA, I know, like the Colorado, it usually has soaked up a lot of miles of limestone and sandstone and siltstone and stuff like that, as well as just particulate. Yeah. Sorry about the quality, T-Bar. We'll go upstairs in a moment and just do a checkup on the tanks there. But, you know, I haven't gotten to what I said I was going to get to. And we're going to do it real quick, like a 5-minute rundown. And maybe I'll do another video on it. But I don't want to be a liar. So, first thing that's handy. These are all under... Let's keep it under 20 bucks, okay? So this is a pH tester. And this was like $19.99 on Amazon. So I'm able to check my pH. Kathy B, yeah, so Southern California water is like liquid rock. Totally. A lot of it is. There's pockets that have, I don't know, aquifers or something going on, as well as like out by Great Bear Lake and stuff. There's some cleaner mountain stream type water, but for down on the lowlands, it's no bueno. I mean, it's great for plants and for cichlids, but it's harder for, you know, Amazonian fish and shrimp and stuff like that. Yeah, well, you could use bottled water, but what I would do is spend $100 to $200 and get what we call an RO, like row, DI, the letters, RODI, a RODI system, which is basically just, it distills your water as it comes through and it traps all the bad stuff into carbon filters, and it basically, it's kind of the same as like boiling out the impurities and just letting it thing. So next, I would say this is even more important than my pH tester, because there's pH test strips, and that's a no-brainer. That's something everyone probably knows about. Here, though, I love this. This thing is my friend. This is my TDS tester. It was $11 on Amazon. Ubante. I think it's an African brand. Like, no joke, I think it said it was made in Kenya or something, which is unusual. So these guppies, I added a little bit of calcium to their water, just because they're guppies, and they're doing good. But like up here, I'm hoping the water, you know, it should be something like 150 or so. Let's see, 140. So that's great. That's what I want for my big planted hill stream tank. But yeah, this is a great instrument. It's super cheap, and if it breaks, just buy a new one. Even if the battery goes out, you can just buy a new one at that rate if you have Amazon Prime. Such wasteful things that we have in our cheap electronics, but I mean, it's sadly the truth. The batteries, I think, are $14, and then you could just get a whole new thing. Now, if you have a pH tester, these little handheld ones are really inaccurate unless you're constantly calibrating them and storing them in the calibration liquid. This one's not calibrated correct right now, so I'm using chemical testers currently. Hey guys, could we get a like spike if you're here, you're enjoying the chat and all that jazz? Please hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber yet, but you're hanging out and you think that this is fun or interesting, I would highly appreciate it if you subscribe and ring that bell. A lot of people say even when they ring that bell, they do not get updates at all. So a lot of the bigger channels seem to people get updates for, Aquarium Co-op or DIY or Miss Jinx, Rachel O'Leary type stuff. But YouTube, you kind of gotta go there on your own. You gotta go out of your way, type in my channel name, click on it, even if you're subscribed, before it gets the idea that you actually, oh wait, you actually do like the channel or like the content. So that's just something I've noticed. But do what you will. I ask nothing more than you guys entertaining yourselves, and if you want to know something, ask. And if I know, I will try to help you, and if I don't, we'll try to learn it together. Another great thing that I spent $1 on at the dollar store or Goodwill is a turkey baster, or a baster. But like, that's how I picked up these betta eggs. I just boop, and that's how I feed bloodworms to shy fish, like these cories always hide, these wild Venezuelan orange high saddle high fins, or these loaches, these striped loaches. They get really shy, and so do these erythromicrons, and so I'll feed them via this guy. Also, these vinegar eels, so I put them in a Corona bottle or whatever it is, fever tonic, I don't know what that is, but I'll take a vinegar eel culture. I'll put a cotton wad in the bottle. I'll fill it up with vinegar culture, and then the eels, they need to breathe oxygen. They're not really eels, they're like nematodes. But I can then do this and suck up all the little dudes living at the top that were coming up to get water, and they can't make it back down through the cotton. And then I can feed my fish a couple drips at a time, and they just, watch this. Watch what these Danios do for this stuff. They'll probably go wild. Yeah. So they love live food. If you're trying to get something to spawn, that's the way to do it. That's 9 species of Danios all going nuts for it. So that was vinegar eel. Vinegar eel, as I said. And all you have to do is you get a sample of it. Like, you'll usually get it in a little jar, maybe even like this size or something. And then you just take those eels, you take half water, half apple cider vinegar, or half apple vinegar, whatever you want to call it. Put it in a bottle, a water bottle. You put some cotton in the top and poke holes in it, so that just the cotton's there just so that debris and bacteria doesn't grow. And then you cut up like part of an apple, just eyeball it, throw enough in there that there's some starchy and sugary matter. And these vinegar eels are a nuisance. They used to be a nuisance in medieval times when people were making vinegar or olive oil, or just various things. They would appear magically and out of nowhere, out of the air. And they still may if you're making vinegar from scratch, but they're not just all hanging out all over the place. You kind of have to, there goes some more in there. Watch them go nuts. You kind of have to, you have to try these days. We're not quite as filthy as we used to be, for better or for worse. So, let's see here. Love Danios. I love Danios too. I also really like these fish that Sam hooked me up with. If you guys want any koi like this, Sam, who was just a fan who watched my channel, donated to the channel a few different times, He breeds them in North Dakota. It's too cold to ship right now, but his screen name is or redacted XX, like redacted, like a document that you shouldn't be looking at, that's been edited. And he breeds these guys in a teeny space, respectively, for all the work he's doing. And he's just a great guy. And so I just wanted to pass that on. If anybody's breeding certain fish or plants or has a product that they sell for their company or whatever, if you get a hold of me and say, hey, you want to try it out or whatever, I will always be happy to share the results with people and your info if it's something that's good. I will be honest though, if I get something and I have it and I'm like, oh man, it had ick, I'm not going to hide that either. So you kind of run the gamut. But if you believe in your product or you believe in the fish you breed, the plants you grow, I'm always more than happy to help fellow small-time breeders and inventors and things like that, because that's what makes the hobby tick, and I really respect those of you making enough money to take care of the hobby with that. Now, these are aquascaping tools. Please do not spend $30 a tool. You can spend $30 for a set, and even if it only lasts 2 years because it gets rusty or the springiness wears off a little bit, and I use these all the time. You know how many tanks I have? I aquascape other people's tanks. I'm doing workshops and stuff on aquascaping, and just trust me, you don't need the ADA. If you have the money, great. They are really good quality. Fluval, they're good quality, but I'd wait till they're on sale. If you just get some no-name brands like the ones from China that are on eBay or on Amazon, just get the best rated pack that's 20 or 30 bucks and has like 4 or 5 tools. That will get you a long way. Also, these, I can't tell you how much I enjoy these. They're just little telescopic. Let's see. Also, try not to use them if you're adding any type of chemical to the water. It may screw it up. Does Redacted XX have a website or a Facebook? He does have a Facebook, but if he has a YouTube page. So if you looked up Redacted XX Koi Bettas or something like that, I bet you would find it. He also, after I had my accident, he's the one on April Fool's Day who gave me through PayPal, so I didn't get 40% taken away by YouTube or whatever. He gave me $500, and that was incredible, and I want to give him another shout out, even though that was April of last year, because I got struck by lightning right after that, after I'd mentioned that I didn't have a ton of money for this thing, and I was able to get this fish room going really because of that. It allowed me to have the extra cushion for that. So thank you again, Sam, and that's why I'm giving him a shout out, because he's a kind soul. He believes in the best in people, and he really cares about his fish, like his bettas. He really does. But I took a net and I just busted off the end. This was like a $2.99 net, and what I use this for is just moving stuff around, checking if fish are dead. I hate to say it like that, but sometimes a fish hasn't moved for a while and you're like, what's going on? Or looking under logs and things. But yeah, a retractable thing like this that you can put back into a bucket where you keep your nets and stuff, that's great. These little dip and pours, or scoop and dips, or pour and scoops, they've got a lot of names. Specimen containers, these are rad. They're kind of expensive, but I use them all the time when bagging up stuff, or if I'm like, I need to move some of these males with this pattern into here and some females over there. Use these things all the time. I love them. You can find them online. I didn't know what they were called for the longest time. So yeah. Wait, what really happens to people? Oh, Kathy, great. That's very kind of you. Oh, giveaway master. Yeah, I got hit by lightning in June. That's what happened. You can go back and watch the videos from around that time on my channel. But for a while, I couldn't talk and walk right, and it was just like I almost died. So it was bad. Animal lover, thank you. But it was a life affirming thing also. Uh, Oh, well, another Z. Thank you so much. Uh, I'm glad that the channel feels like home to you because I want this channel to be home to everyone, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a independent, you do not care about politics, you're black, you're white, you're Asian, no Jamaicans. No, I'm just kidding. Wherever you are, wherever you're from, if you have a good heart, you care about nature and stopping and observing the little beauties of life and in the world, this is a place for you. And the Facebook group by the same name, there's a link in the description, also a place for you. And if you want, I also do consultations for like oh yeah, Aquarium Co-op. I do like their tweezers too. Those are legit. They're not quite as good for certain aquascaping things like big time, but like if you're doing like Monte Carlo tucking or bulbitis tucking, some of this really fine moss work or setting things, they're not the best for that. But for just moving basic stuff and doing basic plant insertions, $6, yeah, boom, bam, great. I just like the kits because you get a kit that rolls up and then you get whatever. So the next thing I like is this. This was 15 or $20 on Amazon. I should be linking these things so I get money, like a tech city. I don't know, is that supposed to be electricity? I sure hope not. But, I don't always need to check my tanks, but just as a quick little, I can literally check and know approximately. So boom, boom. Like, I mean, I literally do it this quick. So boom, 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 boom. And that gives me the consistency. I know where my tanks are at. Those are all a little warm today because it's so cold outside. It was snowing again. But yeah, and then the last little gadgets, other than dental tools. If you go to the dentist, ask them for the broken ones. Frequently, they will give you something that has like one broken end, but to me, that's not broken. I use that to get, I'll scrape around up here, get the Blackbeard off, or if something gets clogged in a filter line, in a air line, or if this little grate here is clogged. There's just endless uses for dental tools in life in general. So I ask for them. They're funky. Paintbrushes, another good one. Just cheapo kids paintbrushes that come in a big old pack. I use these because I'm a painter. I mean, obviously I have a stack of art junk. The fan, ignore that. But I have lots of old brushes, and it's just handy for clearing things off gently. If a fish has something where you're like, oh no, does it have cottonmouth or something, or ick, you can kind of check, is that Colmenares? Or you can also very carefully handle eggs out of the surface of water. So what you do is you put your brush in and you roll it, and you're able to pick up the egg on the tip. So any floating eggs you can do that with, which I like doing. Last thing is these little guys. These are just as good as these. Yeah, dollar store toothbrush, sure thing. This just has a little more pinpoint accuracy, but same deal. Love these. You can get these that float from PetSmart or Petco, but these are a little different. So these run, and I just buy these lines, which are 25 cents a piece for these little cheapo valves. You buy 10 or whatever, or 20. And then from another air pump like the one across the room, I then can control this and this little piece, simple as this. So it sucks up water from your interior tank, so it's going to be the same temperature. It's going to be nice and aerated for your fish, and you can control the flow here, and whether you want it to be a stream or whether you want just a trickle and some drops, for depending on the species. So if you're raising fry, that's great. And you don't like some fry, like pseudomcgill fry, that much water, surface tension breaking, they can actually get like smothered and drowned or get stuck against the wall with the water tension. Whereas, uh, Danio fry, like I've been breeding, they're fine. They don't care. I can put a full blown, I can crank up the air all the way on them, and they'll grow faster. But also, I can put adults in here and either use moss or something for them to lay on, like I did, like these eggs in here came from. And then the eggs can drop down here. The babies are born, the adults are up here. If the babies don't want to, they can stay out of the way. But really, it's not a long-term plan, but it is a way to give you a moment to be like, oh man, I need to move those bad boys before the adults eat them. As we're on our way upstairs, and when I'm gonna say goodbye for the evening to y'all, these are great. You can get them on a stick too for scraping gum or cleaning glass. They're just old school razor blades fit in them, and that's how I get the diatom algae off, like this stuff. This room, I get quite a bit of sunlight ambient wise, and it's just enough to grow algae and not help my plants grow particularly well. So let's take a little peek at what's going on upstairs, and then I gotta get off of here because my wonderful wife is home. And we both had long days. Hey Alex, if you get a chance and it's not too random, can you show the order for turning on your CO2? Yeah, let's do that right now. So this tank, you guys can see the colors are all screwed up live. This is all pink. This is all purple. Just looks washed out. I don't know. Yeah, I need to get a different camera for live streams, I think is the bottom line. These are beautifully pink right now, like a nice peachy pink color. And this is neon pink. So I'm sad that you guys can't see that. Let's see, maybe you can a little bit when I like cover. You guys kind of can get the idea, I guess. But as soon as I'm looking at it like that, it just, yeah, it's, yeah. All right, so Allie, let's look at. Whoa, for the longest time. Whoa, for the longest time been. Oh, hi guys, welcome back. The stream crashed, and I don't know. It was live on my end. I could see your questions, but apparently nobody could see me. Thank you for shrimp and plants, plantsandshrimp.com. Wait, what is it? Shrimpandplants.com. Jason, thank you. All right, so Allie, let's get back to business. CO2. So you're gonna turn this. This is your regulator fine control valve. You turn that off, tight, right to the tight. Now, when you set up your line, you want to put water halfway to 2/3 up in this bubble counter. This one's plastic. That's why the link I sent you was cheap. You can unscrew it here. This locks down your cord. You're using this black cord because this black cord is actually a stronger cord than the white or clear cord. It's a stronger kind that's meant for pressurized lines. Now you want to make sure that the little arrow, there should be a 3D arrow. Where's that 3D arrow? Well, the 3D arrow, I can feel it. It's right here. This 3D arrow, you want it pointed that way, up towards the tank. So, yeah, I'm using an accent now. Giveaway master, what you want? I gave you the codes to the free coupons and things. Are you gonna give away something to me, buddy? Okay. So this bada bing bada boom. So it comes with a washer, sometimes a nut or a bolt, but right here is where it attaches. This thingamadig, it actually is loose in there, and then you don't need the washer. Some people try to use the washer, and all of a sudden, psh, it sprays everywhere. And that was pish, period. It sprays everywhere. Don't censor me. Don't demonetize me, YouTube, because I just yelled a swear word. All right. Screw this on with this closed, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, or this on with this closed, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, or if there's some crazy communist conspiracy where lefty-loosey is not the case, whatever, go with it. Trust your bottle. So, what you're gonna do, you keep that closed, then you're gonna put this on and twist it on, and it may hiss at you for a sec. But what you should see is that this is going up. It's getting pressurized, and so is this. So you can see I got 750 pounds of pressure per square inch. That will flip up real quick. You don't want to unscrew this. It'll come and shoot out and go bada bing, bada boom. Oh, who's shooting now? So for this, though, just keep it closed. This is your valve through here, and everything's off right now. We're just screwing this on. Then we can open this slowly. It shouldn't do anything here because you're not plugged in yet. As soon as you plug it in, if you turn this at all, this thing will start bubbling. So open this slowly first. See these gauges pressurized. Make sure no water's going up in it yet. And then once you got everything on the gauges pressurized, then what you do is you plug it in and slowly, and we're talking this much, maybe this much. Hold on. That's the speed you want right there. Now, if you have a speed like that, you should even hear hissing hardly. But you see this condensation in here? It can build up in the line and blow the end off. Make a big loud pop. You don't want that, so that's why we use these. But you shouldn't have to worry about any of that. That's a next day problem, not a today problem. It's a condensation problem when the pressure changes. All right, so now you got this. This is too fast, Steven. So you want to tighten it up a little bit. And I like to keep mine rolling about there for a 20-gallon tank. You see that the pressure is up here. Bada bing, bada boom. Hey, we got things going well. That's the basics of it. And then when you plug it in at night, you can either turn it off by screwing that thing shut, or you can unplug it. So, yeah. All right, guys. I hope that helped you, Ellie, and you do not blow yourself up again. Also, I just wanted to show, everyone thinks it rains. Yeah. But, last tank, I'll show you guys before I hop off of here like a bunny. We got the big old tank with all the odds and ends of, endlers and stuff. Got some algae growing. This is weird algae. It's like long spiderweb algae, and I just pull it out and it's gone for weeks or months. Also, the boost doesn't seem to like this tank anymore. For a while, it was going crazy and just had these beautiful gold colors and stuff. But I don't know what's going on with that. The plecos, they're all doing well. Getting big. My yellows are getting big, and my albino white longfins are getting big. As well as my greens, they're huge. And then the cribs are pretty good size. Big enough that I sold some of them this weekend. I was selling them for, I think, $4 a pop as little babies. And then we got some plants growing. We got the meboldi that I just talked about. And pea puffers, all that jazz. Ember tetras. Life. Bada bing, bada boom. Just because everyone always asks, what are these lights? What's going on here? Well, these lights right here are Cree LED sand sun lights. Means that they're cheap. They had Russian language all over them, Cyrillic alphabet. It's like little Odessa opening up this. I don't know what's going on with it, but it was like 30 bucks. They get real hot, too hot to touch, but you leave them on some glass, hang them from the ceiling. Bada bing, bada boom, 60 watts right into your tank. Grow it up nice and fast. Last thing I was going to show you guys, done with the accent. Sorry about that. I don't know. I don't know what came over me. Is these little shelves. So these are great. I was actually taking broken pieces, like right here, of Anubias or of Bucephalandra, things like that. And I'll slide them in here and let them hang out, the leaf hang out above water and the roots be underwater. And I guess it's a great way to submerge grow. Over here, this is for moss or, well, really any plant you want. Bulbitis works too, or Pellia, Sawassertong. So I implore all of you guys to check out my old videos, to like, to share. That's what you can do that makes the biggest difference to me right now in my life. Is if you guys share, like, I'm going to be doing some teaming up. Hopefully we'll be talking with Rachel O'Leary soon. She's agreed to do an interview. We're going to talk about the good old days of what the internet free fish trade was like, just for posterity, just to talk about, how it used to be when you used back page ads and it wasn't for dirty love services. It was for, buying and selling items before Craigslist and so forth. So we're going to talk a little bit about the evolution of that, and then Aquabid, and then Craigslist and eBay, and back and forth with that, and then places like Wetspot that have everything you can imagine. So it should be a good interview. Should have fun with that. Thank you guys for helping each other in the comments. I'm getting out of here, but I just wanted to remind you guys, be kind to one another, be kind to your creatures, take care of them. They'll take care of you. The world is beautiful. Life is tough sometimes, but we're all going to get through it. Be kind, be compassionate and understanding, and ask questions. Don't ever be scared to ask questions. The world's confusing. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.